One. Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this is Taking Care of Business. Joining me today is Antonio Zivanovic, who is the founder and CEO of the Canadian Workplace Culture Index. Thank you, Antonio, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Mario.
We're going to talk about some labor trends that we're seeing in the market these days. The first I want to ask you about is, how does a company manage sort of the multi-generational workplace that's out there? You know, you've got everybody from, you know, the starters who are starting their careers to the guys like me, the old vets that are kind of, you know, moving on into the sunset, so to speak.
You got a few years before you're moving on into the sunset. Yeah, great question. People are looking more for than just a ping pong culture. They're seeking growth and development opportunities. They crave mobility. They're craving clear understanding of how they can move in the organization laterally forward, you know, multi-generational, multi-ethnic, working from here and there. You know, that's the new reality for people. The new workforce is more dynamic and diverse than ever before. It's not just generationally, it's not just the millennials is the big piece now. The Gen Zs are stampeding their way into the workforce. And, you know, we've seen that, you know, a recent study from Kansas State University and Mississippi Novak Leadership Institute revealed that younger workers are more concerned about how their managers treat them. And in particular, the two types of respect they crave: being valued as a team member, being respected as a person who has a life outside of work, versus the boomers and the vets, so to speak, love that stability because they're in a different stage and age of their life, and they're valuing the more traditional benefits, and they are more attached and connected to the compensation at work.
Okay, as we move out of this pandemic, hopefully sooner than later, will we see a great return to the office environment or not?
The great return, I think the new reality is hybrid. That isn't for all employers, of course, but those who want to attract and retain top talent and are able to offer that are going to win the war on talent. And flexibility and work-life balance are not new topics, but the pandemic has shone a brighter spotlight on non-conventional work arrangements. And as companies look to the future, they're contemplating these various models, with some preferring the full-scale return, others going completely remote, and many kind of thinking about the particulars of hybrid. You know, organizations will have to analyze the impact of each model has upon productivity and culture, but understand that ignoring the question cannot be an option. Employees want to know as much as they can about the plans, and those that are communicating this well and getting ahead of it are removing the opportunities for ambiguity and stories to be created that are negative about a potential employer.
So, you know, in terms of retention and attracting employees, we've seen a trend in recent years of more perks and more benefits, and some of them are quite unique and innovative and, you know, strange in some ways. But why are you seeing this trend, and what are some of the interesting types of benefits, perks you've heard about?
Yeah, I'm seeing, you know, there's been a shift in family dynamics now that requires benefits to cover a modern family, including an adopted child, trans medical needs, same-sex couples, just to name a few examples. You know, in terms of perks, a recent study noted that 50% of non-remote employees want contributions toward household bills, and 46% for their home office equipment, while those heading into the office surprisingly named free breakfast and free lunch as a top priority. We're seeing employers now thinking about equity versus equality in how they design their total compensation and rewards philosophy, and how they're thinking about, okay, maybe, you know, we've been funding a certain arrangement for a family, but the person who doesn't want to have a family, some people view their pets, those are their family members. So some people feel entitled that they should get the same contribution as a person with a family, and they shouldn't be segregated, so to speak, because they don't want to have a family, but they want to have pets.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite interesting. When you're talking about the remote work and working from home, some of the issues on cybersecurity come up. What can companies do there to protect themselves?
Well, there's an amazing free, it's called Cira Shield, CIRA, free for all Canadians, enterprise level protection that is easy to install on our phone, devices, and routers at home. Don't share work devices with kids. Who knows what they're doing on them?
Yeah.
Don't print anything at home unless absolutely necessary. Printers are a big point of vulnerability. And a simple thing is, you leave your computer for 1 minute, log out. Don't leave it unattended. Also, VPN or remote access only to work systems. Nothing going through clear channels on home devices, home networks. Those are a few things to just protect yourself. And we use 1Password as well, active password manager, and multi-factor authentication. So you put in your password and then it'll send a code to your phone. And then you have to input that code into the field, and then it allows you to get in. If you don't have your phone, you can't get in.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the employees out there and people in their careers. How important is sort of the upskilling part of what they do, for their futures?
Definitely highly valued these days. Whether it's reskilling employees to learn new skills to help them perform different jobs, or upskilling employees to better equip them to do their job, investing in resources, in your critical resources, in our current transitional work environment, where we're dealing with external economic factors, residual pandemic effects, and adopting new work models, we need to ensure employees are upgraded. This trend emphasizes the importance of reskilling and upskilling existing employees rather than increasing efforts and incurring the expense of hiring and replacing employees.
Yeah. Okay. Last question I had for you, last kind of trend is, I've read a lot about this particular topic over the last couple of years from a lot of the employment agencies, and it talks about the top priorities for workers and employees, and it no longer seems to be the money part of it, the salary. That doesn't seem to be their top priority. They're looking for the experience, the and well-being parts of the job. Is that something that you are witnessing as well?
Definitely, and I think it comes from both sides. A lot of employers do a very poor job of clearly sharing and communicating the employer value proposition. The Canadian Index showed, in our research that 60% of Canadian employees are willing to leave their job for another employer for a 10% raise or more, the same job. And so if you're not sharing the different benefits, perks, how you're helping the overall well-being of the employee and communicating that value proposition, people already have 1 foot out the door. Almost 2 out of 3 Canadians, which is shocking to think they're ready to go. So how are you creating that connection? What is that value proposition? And thinking about the whole person, not just their time at work.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, that was great, Antonio. I appreciate your time and help in this.
Thank you very much, Mario.
All right, super. That was Antonio Zivanovic, who is the founder and CEO of Canadian Workplace Culture Index. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this has been Taking Care of Business. Thanks for joining us today.